Welcome to another episode of Distory, and this time we're going back to the Skipper Canteen, back to the Jungle Cruise, and unbelievably, this is our last voyage. Very, very sad, but it was an epic journey, almost like the Iliad. This never ended.
Does feel that way.
We are heading to Skipper Canteen one last time to go to the bookshelf, which we're going to focus on all of the titles, authors, and fun little secrets that are hidden there on the Skipper Canteen SEA room's little library leading into that room. With me, as always, is Skipper Kate. Last time saying Skipper Kate. Skipper Kate, how are you doing this evening?
No, I'm sad that you said that. No, I'm good. This is episode 21 in this Jungle Cruise series. We have both had the pleasure of conversing with former Imagineer Kevin Lively throughout this series, who developed a lot of the stories for the Jungle Cruise, and he actually did help a lot with this episode. So I want to start this episode off by saying a great big thank you and a round of applause for former Imagineer Kevin Lively. We really but it's over. That was the ending.
Laundry's done, Kevin. Hang it out to dry.
The timing of that, my goodness. But we do want to also support Kevin because he is an artist and he has some really wonderful art for sale. We mentioned this on another episode, but you can head on over to, it's on Etsy, and the store is called Skipper Kevin. And he has some really fun things for sale. I think he just made a new mock album cover that's really funny. A lot of it's full of puns. It's very tiki themed. So, and I believe that you can also adopt a hippo. Like there's one that is in the Disneyland queue. There's actually a little wooden hippo, and he has those on there as well. Do you want to tell him about what this is? Because this is funny.
Yeah, this is a faux record album, and it says, "In the shower, Ella Fitzgerald recorded live in concert accompanied in full trumpet orchestra at the Sacred Bathing Pool." So, yep, this is a framed one. He also has non-framed ones, and then lots of wood carvings. And then the shrunken heads. He also wrote a children's book too, but yeah, the wood carvings is a piranha.
Oh yeah, the piranha.
And this one's called Phineas. It's a mutant zombie piranha as well. So yeah, and then there are lots of hippos, and the pricing's good. $45 for a hippo. That's cheap.
Kevin's over here and he says thanks, but no, really, thank you, Kevin, because you have given us so much information and just been very, very helpful and kind. And we do want to help support you as an artist as well.
And to support you, Kate is going to do her best elephant impression to talk about your happy wooden figures.
I am not going to do the impression. You do the elephant impressions around here, not me. There it is.
It's disappointing. I was hoping if there was a chance I could guilt trip you because Kevin's over there.
No. I have been eyeballing that tiny little hippo, the little baby one. That one I've been thinking about it. But so before we move forward into the books of the Skipper Canteen, I do want to mention just a few things that Kevin actually messaged me about, and just to toss into our previous Skipper Canteen talks, because he gave some really valuable information. One I actually am very, very fond of is the fact that the Malopa Marie boat, the little Shrunken Ned's boat that we talked about that's in the Falls family room, that one is partially named for, it's not only Victoria Marie Falls, but also partially named for his wife, Ashley Marie. So she calls it her boat, which I think is so special and really fun. And that is a tiny picture.
Yeah, I pulled up that spot.
It's like a postage stamp version of the boat.
Listen, this is first class. We'll get it in 2 days if you want a bigger picture.
So that boat, but bigger. It's just that one.
This is preparing for it.
Sorry, that's what I like to do, right?
Yeah, it's all good.
Let me get my glasses real quick, right, Tiff? Okay, so he also said that the overarching theme of Skipper Canteen is a celebration of the unconventional family. Since skippers are naturally, they develop a strong family-like bond on the dock, which is so much fun. He says every room is a different take. So we had the Falls family parlor is the actual family, and they have the china the family would eat off of, and carvings of animal families and mom's boat. So they've got like all the family items there. The mess hall is the work family, adorned with trophies and mementos. And then the SCA, the sea room, is Albert's other family. So I just thought that was
I love that. That's a great connection between all the rooms.
He also said, why is the secret room open all the time, right? Why is that door just like open instead of why are we not hiding the secret room? He said, long story short, Alberta is not a member and had no interest in a dusty old club. So she needed more capacity to feed customers. So she's just left the door open so she could feed her customers. So that is a good, great picture, a bigger picture of the bookcase in the door that's open leading into the secret meeting room for the Society of Explorers and Adventurers. He also mentioned Exploratio Continua. We said, the adventure exploration continues, but he said it's a form of keep moving forward, like Walt Disney's quote. So I loved that. And Kirk, you'll love this one. So the daily newspaper above in the men's restroom was his idea. So
I love that.
Yeah, it's great. Kevin for that.
Thanks, Kevin.
And yeah, he said any newspaper clipping you see, including the men's room one, came from their last copies of the Daily News from Adventure Trading Company, the quest that would send guests to Frontierland for the elephant juju and whatnot. And the phone numbers worked for years, but no longer do. So phone numbers used to work. And Chris Runco, which we mentioned as the Runcosaurus, I think is what it was, in the beasts on the wall. Not only did he says he did the Skipper Canteen artwork, which they released for the announcement at D23. And prior to that, they didn't have any art for it, zero. And Chris then stayed late with him and got that art together. So that was partially to thank him for that. And he said the reason why the Kraken doesn't look like pirates is because the art was done and then he filled in the blanks. So the artist was just populating with cool sea creatures. That's why it doesn't look like the one that's from Pirates at all. And he did have he had a question for me about like the sea monster, the connection between the sea monster and the World of Motion ride, which apparently was not the intention. It just happens to look a lot like that sea monster.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So
you
the sea monster, yeah, he was just making up sea monsters. And that happened. So
it was deep-seated. It was Inception,
And then the original Crocker fish was supposed to be George. I'm going to say this name wrong. George Calagridis fish. But his PR team shot that down. So that he was the president of Disney Segment Development and Enrichment. So those are just a couple of notes from our previous episode. Thank you, Kevin, for
thanks for the extra details there. Things we would have never known.
Yeah. And I loved today. I was asking him about some of these books here, and he was literally like looking through his files to try to find answers for us. And I just really appreciate that so much, that he went the extra mile to dig through all his old stuff to find answers. So
yeah, that's awesome.
It was really great. So one more note about the books before we kind of dig into the nitty gritty. He did mention that he wrote 616 different book names. Not all of them they ended up using, obviously.
And if it was Kate's only podcast and she had hours, she would tell you about every single title. And if she missed one, she'd be very upset.
My retention would be like this and then like this.
You want me to write a retention graph for you?
It's like on at 0. Now, so both Kirk and I were conversing about this, and we're just like, these are so many books here. There's so many, and we would definitely want to keep this fun and moving for you guys. So, so we're not going to go over every single book, but we will go over a fair amount of them so that you guys can learn about some of the secrets that are hidden in this. And then you guys can go look for them on your own. And we're probably not going to point out exactly where they are on the shelf. You can go hunt and search for them like a fun little scavenger hunt. So.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about directionally, as you're in the crew mess hall and you're looking into the SEA, which I have up here on a picture if you're watching, it's basically 3 different sides to this library. The one that is open, Jungle Book, which we did find out from Kevin earlier on, that is one of the few actual antiques that is in there. So that's a legit Jungle Book. That was like one of the first editions, which is really cool. One of the earlier editions, I should say.
When I went to the Walt Disney Family Museum and they had the Jungle Book exhibit on display, they had this book actually like under glass on the display. And so it was really neat to see that. Which ironically, though, the actual Jungle Book, the movie, they really used a lot of artistic license and interpretation away from the original stories because some of them are a little bit dark. And there was a whole story treatment done by Bill Peet for the Jungle Book. And I think it was Walt Paraguay and Bill Peet. Walt Paraguay did the art and Bill Peet did the script. And Walt Disney just didn't like it at all because it was just much too like emotional and heavy. And he wanted to lighten it up and make it more fun. So they kind of just like threw out the Jungle Book, so to speak, and kind of took a few of the characters and then went their own direction. So little side note on the Jungle Book there for you.
The more you know. I still haven't seen the live action.
Oh, I watched it once. My kids wanted to see it.
Watch it once.
You have to see it once, you know.
Yeah. I clearly not. Still haven't seen it yet.
What is the one that you hadn't seen that I was angry about?
I don't know. Maybe Aladdin or something.
You've seen Aladdin, right?
No, but not the live action. I haven't seen like any of the live actions. Was it a live action or was it a...
No. It was a classic movie that you had seen.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on. So the way that we're going to do this, I think, is we're just going to move shelf by shelf and we're just going to point out maybe some of our favorites.
I have the fezzes already lined up.
Yeah.
You want me to do the fezzes first?
Yeah, jump right into the fezzes. Let's go.
Let's wear some hats.
Yeah.
All right. Time for another great picture. No, this one's tiny. The rest are big. You're making fun of me again. I couldn't find the lower 2 fezzes, but there are multiple fezzes in here for SEA members, which is nice because they can come in here, just grab their cap and walk right into the meeting room. So you notice that there's different types of color and size. Most are maroon with tassels or black with tassels. There's also a cheetah print one, which this is an older photo, which is kind of interesting because they weren't labeled. So you would have no backstory of like who they represented. I like that they added the labels because it's a lot cooler for guests in passing. So let me back this one up. We have Dr. Albert Falls. We also have Luana Teixeira, so we have Dr. Albert Falls, which we've talked about this entire time with the Jungle Navigation Company, and of course his painting. And then Luana, the only picture that we have of her, which coincidentally she is the photographer for SEA, is in that painting. She was painted in on the left-hand side, which we had talked about when we were in the SEA room. Then there's these two I love these ones so much. It's Henry Mystic on the left, has a maroon cap, and then a little tiny one for Albert the Monkey, which is going to go to our Asian, it's Mystic Manor version of the Haunted Mansion, which has this really cool backstory of a music box that basically kind of is like Pandora's box and opens up spirits and makes a lot of things come alive in the house, which I think is cool. Inada Ji, which I couldn't find anything out about him.
He's a chef in he has a book too, so that's like a recipe book. So
cool.
He's a chef for Society of Explorers and Adventurers, from what I see.
Okay, and then Sango Seo is next to him,
which signed the certificate. Remember, for Albert for his finding the Cambodian ruins.
Easy. So there we go. That's what I got. I'll have to go in there and find those remaining ones because box check.
By the way, Jackie popped in and said it was Tarzan that you haven't seen, and yes, I'm still upset about that. So
the cartoon of Tarzan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not. I've listened to that album, though.
Anyway, back to the books, shall we?
Back to the books. All right, I'm on the very first one, which has Baboons of Africa.
This is such a hot one. We just need, just pick one, and I will
just pick one and do it
here because it's such a mess. I can't. There's hundreds of books.
I know. It's funny too because I straight up have. Hang on, let me flip this around. I also have notes on my phone, which are screenshots from Kevin Lively. So like I have all these screenshots of the books, but also just the words.
It's like my phone.
So it's
screenshots of my phone with the chat.
It's a hot mess as well. So I have that. So all right, yeah. And how about this? We'll pull up a bookcase, and if we don't have anything, we could just say a title or two and move on. And if we have something, we talk about it.
Let's do that. That sounds great.
All right. Some of these things are going to be either historical, references to folks from Disney, references to people that are significant or insignificant to Kevin Lively, or some are just jokes. So,
yeah. So Kevin did say that there was like a time when he was just trying to fill out these books, and so he said there was a mad dash down the hallway at WDI to find write down names from of people that were in WDI at the time, just so he could fill out authors' names on these books. So some of them are like he doesn't necessarily remember. It probably just came from that mad dash down the hallway, is what he said, which I think is hilarious and fun.
People that were in the hallway.
I mean, if he had 616 books that he wrote, come on, that's a lot of names. So
it was the quote that I have is, by the end I was just writing names down from the hallway placards. Wait, hang on. And then the follow-up is, best part is when legal started to ask who everyone was.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, that's so great.
All right, so what do we have?
Baboons of Africa by Alfred Matthews. Recipes of the Congo by B. Anna, like banana. Banana.
Oh, yeah. So Savannah Rovers, that's Babette Boone. So it's like baboon.
Baboon.
Yeah. Princess of the Nile by M. Pittman. I feel like he said that one was one of the ones from that mad dash down the hallway.
Moving right along. Okay.
I promise we have a lot, just maybe not on every single shelf.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's just so many. It's hard. You do have some callbacks here. So over on the left-hand side, this one it's like a collection of stories, and the two that stand out to me are Tom Sawyer and Robin Hood. I like the one book over here, another gag, In the Jaws of a Butterfly.
Oh, yeah. Like remember we had talked about like the vampire butterflies in the Jungle Cruise?
Yeah, well, we also talk about how they mention it twice. One, on the radio, and two, there's like a written statement about making sure to bring your butterfly repellent.
Mm-hmm. So fun. Right next to the Jungle Book is the Tiger Book, which you can't see from this angle, but it's the one to the right of that. And it says K. Lively, which is Kevin Lively. So Kevin Lively actually has several books throughout here. It's like the Jungle Book that he says and this is the Tiger Book, and it has just like the whatever book, the blank book, the hippo book. We'll see these show up throughout the whole place. And those are the ones that are, of course, Kevin Lively.
I have the lion book, the elephant book, etc. So every single animal I have, he says, I have all the boring generic.
Tendaji, Great Recipes of Africa, I think is right next to the Jungle Book.
Mm-hmm.
See, so that's
the call out to death. Yeah,
chef.
Yeah, and his little cheetah hat.
Oh, that's the chef with the fez. And then a little bit further on in that photo, there's the fleece, Nabidad, and other winter insects, which I think is really fun. And then Huts by Professor Potter.
I like this one. How to Survive a Lava Flow by U.B. Ash. He's one of the better ones.
You be not surviving that.
No, you don't. You ain't. Nope.
Right next to that is a genus Papio by Babbitt Boone. So that's just Papio is their species of baboons. It's a scientific name. And then I think next to that was also the Hippo book by Kevin Lively. So that was the Hippo books next to that. Oh, yeah, you found that there. And then
sorry, you just let me know if you're like skipping to the next picture because I don't
see. I wrote them down because I needed notes. So I was like, yeah, that's why. But they are like next to each other.
How about 101 Ways to Split a Banana by B.N. Peel or Banana Peel? Monkey or this is a book that you need. Monkey or Ape, a tale, like spelled Tailtale.
I need to check that one out for sure.
A lot of people do. The Fleas Navidad, I actually have a very tiny heart, is Skipper Kip Hart, who wrote that joke for the Jingle Cruise. So Fleas Navidad is actually from a real life skipper who wrote that for the overlay.
The Hippo and the Grapes. Can we see that one next to that?
Yep.
Yeah. Hippo and the Grapes is by A. de Bont. And I asked Kevin, I was like, okay, who is A. de Bont? Because they have a lot of books just like he does. And it's always like this and that together. And I honestly 100% thought, I was like, I wonder if this is his wife. And then I started like Googling it. And then I felt creepy about Googling about his wife. And then I just stopped and just asked him. So it's like, I'm not going to do this. But I didn't ask if it was his wife. I just said, who is this? And he said, he confirmed it. That is what is. And I can no longer have to creepily stalk Kevin Lively. So that's also good. And then there's next to that is Local Trading in the Amazon by Wilder and Wilder, which I'm assuming is just a pun.
Okay.
All right. Shall we move on to the next shelf?
Moving right along.
So we first have Reasonable Expectations, which makes me laugh, instead of Greater Expectations. We've got Reasonable Expectations, which I think I'd read a book like that because Greater Expectations puts a lot of pressure on you. Scaling the Matterhorn, I think, is on there. And then that is, of course, referring to the Matterhorn in Disneyland. And they used to have mountain climbers. Steam into the Victorian Era by Kay Reid.
All right, moving on.
Let's move it.
Jungle Commerce by Philip M. Gray. But there's a good joke on this one. FUCNEWPDMWH GHF JD U by Albert the Monkey, which is hysterical because it's straight up Albert typing on there. All right, Kevin has some information. Kyle Reed, Sarah Farmer Earl, and Matt Gray, who was an old manager.
Okay.
Some of those names.
Great. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. The Great Characters of World Literature by Jay Lasseter. So John Lasseter was, he was a former Jungle Cruise skipper, as well as the former chief creative officer of Walt Disney Animation Studios and Pixar and all those things. So John Lasseter, pretty well-known name, but that's who that is. Left at the Falls. I'm trying to figure this one out. Left at the Falls by Trunksnot. So just a pun. Then Meeting Royalty with Sklar, which is, of course, Marty Sklar. Marty. He was president of Imagineering, principal creative executive, and just I've been reading so much about him recently. I read one of his books he wrote, and just stand-up guy. So it's really fun that they have that in there.
This one you can't see, however, there are some antiques above and around. We're seeing some rhinos, brass monkey, Bucky monkey, and lots of different like favorite. No, I had to say the same thing.
Anyway, moving right along to the next one. All right, The Strange Bazaar, I think, is the first one we can see.
By James Q. Treeface.
I was trying to figure this one out. I was like, maybe the Adventureland Bazaar. That's, because we also have Rosita makes a joke about the bazaar as well, sitting in Tropical Hideaway. Then, there is the treehouse there. But that's purely just speculation on my part. So.
Yeah.
It's a dumb joke. That's what Kevin says. Thank you. Okay. Remembering Quango Kate is the boat that is sunk into the hippo pool. So that's a fun one. Don't overthink it. Do you know me at all, Kevin? It's all I do is overthink it. I'm like, what is this possibly connected to? We have the Monkey Book
by Kevin.
Letters from Egypt.
Well, it says Cleo, so Cleo and Patra, so Cleopatra.
Oh, Cleopatra. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And then again, another History of Bananas by B.N. Peel.
The Snake and the Prune by A. de Bont.
Another maiden name.
Mm-hmm. The Later Gator, Ancient
Amphibian. That's a great joke. The Later Gator. All right, moving right along. We now have Encyclopedia Explorer. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 volumes that are in this picture. There might be more.
There's a whole shelf of them, I think.
Yeah.
So the first book here is Inversus Arboribus by B.M. Evans.
Can I take a stab at this? Is this like them planting the trees upside down? Is that what this is a call to?
Yeah, I think so, for the trees upside down. But also, when they were planting plants in the... Kevin says upside down trees. Yeah, you got that, Kirk. Well done. But they also used to give Latin names to weeds for opening day of Disneyland because they ran out of money to landscape Disneyland. So they just started putting little signs next to weeds with their Latin name to make them look like they were official. So...
a common vulgaris, to put it bluntly, a weed.
A weed. Then we have Monkey Business Ethics with Professor Kevin Lee, which, as I looked up, it looked like a marketing manager at Disney. So, Monkey Business Ethics. You got this one, Kirk.
Spotted Tigers by Growls. Growl.
Then the Tiger and the Mango, another one by A. de Bont. The Monkey and the Coconut by A. de Bont. I think that's it for that shelf.
Here's all the encyclopedias. There is a lot of them. The Gorilla and the Salad by A. de Bont again.
And then North American Alligators. Oh, Kevin says Kevin Lee was his father-in-law. Okay. Don Archibald is a combination of Don and Archie, 2 maintenance guys that worked, I think, in the Jungle Cruise. I think I cut that off. But that one is Truck Repair in the Field by Donald Archibald. So maintenance guys in the Jungle Cruise.
And then there's a Gulliver's Travels in there too.
Gulliver's Travels was also going to be Lilliputian Land in Disneyland as well. So there's another little connection there. I don't know if that connection was intended, but it's there anyway.
Lots of books about mining, all from R. Sylvia, and then it looks like some antique history of Rome and world history books.
Silva and gold.
Or Silva?
Silva and gold. Get it?
Silva and gold. Oh, I like, you know how you read things really quickly? I just totally read it as silver and gold. Yeah. That makes sense.
That's funny. R.J. Silva was our coordinator. That's what.
Oh, okay.
The first one is A View from Above, and that's what SW buckets. So that would be the Skyway buckets.
That's fun.
Minnesota. Yeah.
The Polar Voyage by Nemo. I'm assuming Captain Nemo.
Polar Voyage is, Captain Nemo, and it's from the moment in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea attraction when Nemo's submarine went under the North Pole. So that's what that's from.
Oh, cool.
And then it's your favorite.
Yeah, The Wildest Ride by J.T. Toad, or J. Thaddeus Toad. So, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
MMR, the 1871 annual.
Oh, look at this one. I just figured out this one. Not figured out. I just didn't even see this one. Keel Boats of the Mississippi. Mike Fink. It's the Mike. It doesn't say Mike, but it's the Mike Fink keel boats from the rivers of America that used to be around.
Once upon a time before they flipped over. So the one that's right next to it to the left, the MMR, the 1871 Annual Review of Song, is the Mickey Mouse Review.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Kevin, for that. That was in what is now PhilharMagic. Which, by the way, side note, PhilharMagic, the original pitch for it was going to have Tinkerbell instead of Donald. So which one we have next? We've got Creatures from Space.
Creatures from Space.
And that one is Clench by Clench, and that's Chairman Clench of XS Tech, whose teleportation technology brought an alien creature into the Alien Encounter attraction.
So sad. Bring it back.
And then they have Keeping Time by Williams, refers to Robin Williams, who was the timekeeper in the Tomorrowland attraction of that same name. So I have a cool picture of this big jump scare. Watch out.
He did look crazy in that.
It's crazy, yeah.
A Flight Through Dreams by BL, which also works in conjunction with If You Had Wings, You Could Fly by BL.
Yeah. So BL is Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin. So those refer to previous attractions in that location. So Dream Flight and If You Had Wings.
Which, I'm not going to lie, I would much rather have one of those attractions.
So a new way to manage birds, I and Z Management Publications is, of course, referring to the Enchanted Tiki Room under new management with
Iago and Zazu. So funny. The Grace of a Swan by Plaza. So I'm assuming because of the swan boats and their port was over there by the Plaza or adjacent to the Plaza restaurant where you would actually board those vehicles.
Yeah.
So, that would have been so cool to ride those.
Yeah, the swan boats. But then next to it is the Mystery Castle by Cindy Ella. Not a terribly hard one.
Cindy Ella.
My note also says that it could refer to the Cinderella Castle Mystery Tour that was once at Tokyo Disneyland. So.
Oh, but that had references to the Black Cauldron and was super, super scary. It had the, who was it, the Great Horned Prince or something? I can't remember, mixing up. It was awesome. It was one of the scariest attractions that Disney ever built, and it just so happened to be inside of the castle over in Tokyo.
Yeah, Rhonda's asking if we can actually pull these books off the shelf, and if so, what's inside? And the answer is no, you can't pull them off the shelf. They are glued in place. And I don't know what's inside. That's a great question. Maybe Kevin can answer that one for us, because I'm assuming maybe they're wrapped around some other books.
I think, yeah, I imagine they're just books that are wrapped with covers.
Yeah.
It's kind of the vibe you get from all of them.
They're for sure secured in place, though. So, because otherwise, I'm pretty sure people would take them. Like they did the Adventures Club. They took things off the walls. Kevin says, my copy of the Sea Handbook is actually a copy of the Pelican Brief.
Oh, that's fun.
That is really fun.
Oh, I like this one. Illustrated Guide to Radio Broadcasting by Albert Awol. Bring him back. I miss it listening to his radio. It was the best.
Skipper Missy's fun, but I do miss Nigel.
No. Oh my gosh. So much better. But whatever.
The Tikis of the South Pacific, that's with B. Baker, which would be, of course, the Disney studio composer Buddy Baker. He supplied the waiting area music for the Disneyland Enchanted Tiki Room. They did change that later to other things, like we talked about that in our Tiki Room episodes, but that would be why that's in there.
And then we have another joke with Boat Evacuation Procedures by Capsize. Glad they used that joke too in the with Trader Sam's hat at the gift shop. I think that's a good joke. If you need help from any of the skippers, we're great at capsizing. Moving along.
Okay, so we have the zebras and the grass, which is another aide de Bont. So
I think that my favorite aide de Bont has to be the gorilla and the salad.
It's funny. With Monsters of the Jungle, I don't know who. Is it Clowitter?
Clowitter.
Kevin says Clowitter is Kevin Clowitter, an old friend of mine who passed many years ago. Aw, what a wonderful way to honor them. Rocky horror friend and monster horror fan. That's why it says
Oh, that's cool.
jungle.
That's
That's so special. Thanks, Kevin. And Kevin Cluitter taught him the lesson. It never hurts to ask.
cool. It's always better to ask for forgiveness than for permission. I learned that from a couple of my managers above me.
I think it's a different thing that never hurts to ask.
Oh, it's definitely different.
Then the world through a lens. A videographer. That's Lassiter.
Lassiter.
B. Lassiter is Ben, John's son, and another skipper turned filmmaker. Perfect. Thank you, Kevin. We have The Stars Above Us by Quill, which is, of course, the character of the space traveler, Peter Quill. Sorry, it's the...
We have Global Night Celebrations by Pleasure, which is a reference to the It's Always New Year's Eve here at Pleasure Island, which they, no joke, set off fireworks and did countdowns every single night.
Alrighty, next shelf.
Survival in the Entertainment Jungle by Nigel Greenwater, our other radio host.
Fox, there's one that says Fox on here, right? So
Yep.
That is Randy L. That's what Kevin believes is Randy L. The lighting.
Yeah, the title of that one is Let There Be Light and Illuminating World History.
So he is a lighting designer. So that's what that's about.
Next one is a joke. This is The Comedy of Ears by Shakespeare.
These ones are fun.
Yeah, these ones are great. Yeah.
So it says R.E. Venge or Revenge is the author. And then it says Getting Even Part 2, Getting Even Part 4, and then it says Part 6, Part 8, Part 10, and Part 12. So they're all even numbers.
It's clever.
Leaders Throughout History with George Kalodris. I'm still not sure how to say that, but he was a Walt Disney World president, and then, like I said before, president of Disney Segment Development and Enrichment. So that's the leaders one. They have Northern Bears in the Wild, Your Satchel and You by Zeal Bauer, which I think he said he couldn't remember, Kevin, when I asked him who that was. Greatest Short Stories by P.F. Collier and Son. And there is a little statue of Albert the monkey on the end of the shelf.
Although, interestingly, the statue, he has a maroon fez, and the one that we see here in the case is black.
Yeah, that's true. It's the wrong color.
What about Canterbury Tales, which is by Chaucer, which, if you've never read, this is like a very, very old canon book, basically about tales of people walking to Canterbury. 21012 Wishes on a Star by K.L. And I asked Kevin about this, and I'm pretty sure he answered me in affirmative. That I said, was this when you started at Disney? And I'm pretty sure he said, yeah. Life in the Cosmos is Mark Levine, the writer for Pandora. All right, next shelf. The Skipper Handbook for River Navigation by Rex M. Hall, as in Wrexham Hall. Then Banjos and Baboons by Goff, which is Harper Goff. And didn't he played a banjo? I remember we showed a picture of him playing a banjo earlier.
Yeah, he played in the Firehouse 5+2 band, which was that band of animators that played at Disney Studios, which I always thought it was funny that Walt was okay with them playing in that band, but he said, as long as you don't quit to pursue music, you can play. So, oh yeah. So then there's Baboons of the Zambezi, and then the author is Zelda, which is Zambezi Zelda is one of the Jungle Cruise boats.
There's also Treasure, which is right before Treasure of the Animal Kingdom by Harrison Hightower III, another member of SEA and notorious for stealing relics for his private collection. And then we have another joke one, Large Teeth and the Things They Do by F. Ang or Bang.
And yeah, Kip's mentioning Harper has a window in Adventureland advertising banjo lessons, and that is true. And we've talked about that previously in this series, and it kind of looks over at it's like he's always looking at the Jungle Cruise from his window, which I think is really special.
Yeah, I love that.
Parrots as pets. So that's Captain Mary Oceaneer
SCA
wrote that. And it's because her diving companion is a parrot named Salty.
And we made the connection with her and the parrot potentially being at Pirates. And then it just says Mine by Hightower. So again, about his thievery. That's for Hightower as well. Yeah. I mean, he's the reason why Tokyo Disneyland legitimately has like a major issue and drops. It's like the revenge to get after Harrison Hightower.
I love that. Hightower stories are crazy. And then it's also like connected. We've got to George Hightower with the Haunted Mansion as well. So there's lots of Hightower stories.
Long line of Hightowers.
A tall stack of Hightowers.
I'd see where you're going, but
I'm trying. Continuing on. Drums of the Congo by Dr. Vile. A Look to the Stars by B. Strong. A great book cover-up, which makes me think that they covered all these books. So maybe,
yeah.
Covering all these books was the great book cover-up. Suspicious Tiki is Enjoying Life in the Jungle. History of Dirt. And then Keep Your Head Up High by Professor McCann. And Blue Skies Ahead by Chu.
There's A Midsummer Night's Cruise. So instead of Midsummer Night, another Shakespeare reference.
So Raising Children by S. Frank. That would be Sylvia Frank, who is the head of the picture book program at Disney Hyperion. So makes children's books.
Oh, that's cool.
Raising children. Yeah.
We have another joke. Tales from the Veldt by Dr. G. New, or Dr. Gnu, which would be the sound that wildebeests make, or the more colloquial name for wildebeests are new.
Wonder if it's a new book.
It certainly looks new to me.
I really like the next three.
It's Married into the Jungle by Victoria Falls, then Born into the Jungle by Albert Falls Jr., and then Married to Someone Born in the Jungle by Snay Falls.
Yeah, Randy L. Like a Fox that is on this one. That one I asked about, and he said Randy L. is Randy Fox, the lighting designer again. So, Like a Fox. It says Puns of the Amazon by Loy. And Loy is Captain Josh Loy, and he had the sharpest spiel in the jungle. So that's who Loy is on that other shelf. And then The Odd Set of Stories, volume 11, 13, 15, 17, and then 18. So to me, it's like a joke. It's like they're all odd numbered stories.
And then there's an odd one out.
Yes.
There's an odd book out. Yeah. It's clever.
Isn't that funny?
Mm-hmm. It also is a good accompaniment to our Revenge Even series.
The Harambe Chronicles by Wilson, as a former fictional character on the Animal Kingdom's Kilimanjaro Safaris, Reserve Warden Wilson Matua, who warned guests about poaching and flew over the Harambe Reserve to try to stop that illegal activity. So another little reference to Kilimanjaro Safaris.
Those Are My Eggs by L. Goosey.
Oh, yeah.
Another joke one. 7. It's on blustery. It's a different word. Hang on. 7 Blusterous Days by Gus T. Period. Like Gus T.
So it's Bending the Rules by MD Intern. And that one is MD Intern is Morgan D. Intern, the name we gave Morgan Richardson while he was still an intern on Adventure Trading. So that's Morgan Richardson.
That's cool.
Yeah, MD Intern. And then John Mills for the next one is John Mills played the father in Robinson in the Swiss Family Robinson.
And the title of that is Treehouse Construction.
Mm-hmm. Is this one where it has classical American theater staging?
Mm-hmm.
So that is by A. Myers. And that is Ann Myers, Imagineer and actress. She does one of the voices in the audio Easter eggs as well that are in the crew mess hall, which, can we pause for a second, take a little breather from the books and talk about the mess hall? Because I think we need to do that.
Sure.
Because Kevin was telling me about the audio Easter eggs that are in the mess hall. And I asked him, I said, we've only heard like one or two of them. It was so hard to hear them. I was like, do we have a script for them? Like, what's going on with that? And so he said, here's the rundown. He said they come from two sources. One's from the kitchen and one's from the middle upstairs office. So those are the two places where the audio is coming from in the Skipper Canteen crew mess hall. He says all the voices are done by Imagineers. The mysterious stranger with the small purple crocodile thing was voiced by Joe Rohde, since he was one of the original dream finders for ImageWorks. Shrunken Ned appears in the office audio, but was voiced by Brandon Clayla, who is also the voice of Nigel Greenwater in those Easter eggs and the Jungle Cruise audio loop. The voice of Alberta was done by Rocky Kapoor, who was also the visual reference for her when we did the refresh. He says he's in there, Kevin Lively's Extravaganza, and Kevin Rafferty. And then the entire audio loop was purposefully spaced out so people would not hear the same gags 2 to 3 times per meal. Instead, they'd only hear a handful total. So if you want to hear all of them, you either have to work there or hang out a lot in the Skipper Canteen. And I don't have the exact things that they say, because I asked him and he's like, nope, can't give that. And I was like, okay. So that'll be something we can all discover in the Skipper Canteen. But listen.
Got to go there and sit and listen.
Audio Easter eggs. Yeah.
Be like, can you please put me in the mess hall all the way by the bulletin board? And I'm going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
With a boom mic.
A boom mic. Don't mind me. Just listen for the Easter eggs. Alrighty. Back to the books. I know. Take a breather.
Into the thick of it. Into the thick of it. Next.
Yeah. I think we got all this.
Yep. And then this is just more antiques.
Antiques. Tales of the Old West by Durham. Then Professor Bice. Teaching in the Field. The Temple Tours by Paco. Indiana Adventure. Temple of the Crystal Skull attraction. So that's what that's about.
There's a whole entire section of photos of Morocco, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 volumes, Egypt, Persia, of the tropics, and they're all photos and photo books by Luana Teixeira again, so SEA photographer.
On the next one, we've got Funny Drawings, volume 1 through 4 by Renko. So that's another reference to him, which we've already chatted about. And the Ferocious Tiger Lilies.
Yeah, Rocker Stone by Pebble. And then Is This Deadly by Mort Al. We have Primates of the Caribbean with coats, so Claude Coates. And then Profiles of Legendary Pirates of the Caribbean by Gibson or Blaine Gibson.
Blaine Gibson, yeah. Who was the sculptor for Pirates of the Caribbean, in case you don't know who that is.
A Resourceful Human by J.P. Lopez, which Kevin said Lopez was the WDI HR manager.
Fishing in the Amazon by Oscar Fisher. And Swimming in the Amazon by Doug E. Paddle.
Oh, The 10-Minute Voyage by S.H. Tick or Shtick, like the jokes on the Jungle Cruise. Top Hats and Umbrellas by T. Sam or Trader Sam. The Missing Mask by T. Sam, Trader Sam. True Life Adventures by W.E.D. or WED.
Which, if you have been with us since the beginning of the series, you would know that was the original name for the Jungle Cruise, would be True Life Adventure Ride.
You have to take the next one, fangirl.
Oh, A Small World of Traditional Wardrobe by A. Davis. That's, of course, Alice Davis, who did the costumes for Small World. It's one of my very favorite Imagineers.
And then we have Myths of the Supernatural by Gracie, which is a call out to Yale Gracie. And it's because also Gracie Manor is a myth because it's not Master Gracie's house.
Yeah, that's clever. Castle of Magical Kingdoms by Professor Ryman. That's, of course, Herb Ryman, who drew the original concept art for Disneyland's castle. And I love that. And then Traditional Juju Charms by MacGuffin. We've talked about Juju Charms this whole time.
Yeah, and the only MacGuffin I know is the one from the Haunted Mansion with the Muppets. The Great MacGuffin. The Great MacGuffin. Alex Grayman was the creative director. From what? I don't know. He was a creative director. He was super creative. He was
like, Kevin, get your dinner done and come back.
He directed things creatively.
He was so creative.
This is
Won't ask us any more questions beyond that.
Yeah. I'm paraphrasing here, so don't worry. The River Puns Through, and it's by H. Yuck or Yuck. Oh, this is like a whole series.
Oh, this one, I love this. This one is one of my favorite shelves there.
So this is like a series of books. My Quest, 23,000 Leagues into the Pacific, an adventure 6,000 meters above the world. My Journey, 6,100 meters in the sky, soaring. And then the next one is Soaring, 6,200 meters above sea level. A Breeze at 6,250 meters. Blue Skies at 6,274 meters. What does this one say? Ballooning at 6,283 meters. At the Top of the World at 6,287 meters. Thoughts from the Heavens at 6,291 meters. And A Rocket to 6,891 meters. Although I think it's a miss here, A Rocket to 6,891 meters versus meteors. That would have just been a fun way to finish it off.
Oh, write a letter of formal complaint.
Dear Kay Lively, author of the Baboon book.
So Birds of Song by Kiki Cerbano is a character from Disneyland's Adventure Trading Company event. So that's what that is.
Isn't A Journey to the Stars by Kimball, is that Ward Kimball?
Yes. A Journey to the Stars is Imagineer Ward Kimball, who wrote and directed the 3 Disneyland Television Tomorrowland episodes about outer space. I actually have a picture of that too. Visual aids. So there he is in outer space.
Tramp Steamers of Africa, another Harper Goff.
Oh, and Tramp Steamers also would be reference to the African Queen as well.
Mm-hmm. The Majestic Sloth by S. Slowpoke or Slowpoke. The Mighty Termite by Willow. Shades of Khaki by B. Land or Bland. Rockefeller, Hippo, Pet, and Family by Albert Falls.
Another New Year by M.A. Pleasure. And of course, that's Pleasure Island, where they would have that celebration of New Year's every night. So it's another New Year.
And then The Eyes of Mara by Jones or Dr. Jones.
The Baboon Book by Kevin Lively.
Shocking.
Oh, I like this one. Exploring Great Waterfalls, Standing Upon Great Waterfalls, Surviving Falls from Great Waterfalls.
The last book for me.
Oh, we have Sandy Claws, Indonesian Beach Tigers by Kevin P. Rafferty, KP Rafferty. Culture of River Guide by Dr. D. Marley. I do have a note about Dr. Marley. Remember, he's the one that was on the barrel in the crew mess hall where it says backside of water. Dr. Marley, that's for Skipper David Marley, who actually has a doctorate in history. He's written 2 books filled with skipper stories, and he ran a stand-up comedy show featuring only skippers. So that's where that is referring to.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
We have The Crocodile and the Candy Cane by A. Devant again. The Lost Temple of Shirley.
Shirley Temple.
Mm-hmm. Then we have Cheetahs Never Prosper. Friends for Dinner by Trader Sam. A Small Village with a Large Heart by Dr. Albert Falls. And In Search of the Elusive Yellow Snow Tiger by Jack Frost. And then there's another Harrison Hightower, Everest Expedition in Search of the Yeti, Harrison Hightower III.
And then Man of Mystery. It doesn't have an author for that because it's a man of mystery. Who would?
Yeah, you don't know. The Desert Island, not Desert Island.
Oh.
By Chef J. Wassa.
That makes sense. We have The Monkey and the Coconut.
And then you have Chomp, which is a new one by Allison Gator, a.k.a. Alligator.
Teachings from the Heart of the Jungle by Professor Reynard. And then Living with the Lands by Hoagley. Like Living with the Land. The Lion and the Lolly by Devant. The Greedy Gorilla by Colonel Samuel Taylor III. Poetry of Parrots by Heather Inkwell, which he said is supposed to be like feather inkwell. Get it?
Inkwell.
Like it, yeah, it's a joke. We've got another reference to Shakespeare, Hamlet's A Lion's Tale, Babbling Brooks, Fix Anything with a Wrench by Donald Archibald. So that's another reference to those maintenance people from the Jungle Cruise. And The Crocodile Book by Kevin Lively, and The Hunger of Hippos.
They are hungry.
So many books, Kirk.
Yeah, dude. I tried to tell you there was too many books, and you said to me, "Oh, we're good. We just want to just talk about all of them."
I did not say that. I said we'll just talk about the ones that make sense to talk about.
All right, I'm moving forward. I'm skipping that. Mekong and Yukon by Spieler.
Poisonous Fish and How I Learned That They Were Poisonous. Mysteries of Mystic Manor by Yuen. The Congo Queen by M. Pittman. Oh, I like this one. Native Orange Birds of the Southeastern United States by Dr. Sid Truss. So, Orange Bird.
Orange Bird and Citrus, yep.
Songs of the Tiki Bird by Professor Wally Bogue. So it's Wally Bogue did the voices of a lot of the birds from the Tiki Room.
And going right along with that, Crooning Flowers by Sherman and Sherman, a.k.a. the Sherman Brothers, writing music for the Tiki Room.
Famous Elephants by Bertha Trunkstein. Because the elephant's named Big Bertha, remember? That's in the one taking a shower. It's like Big Bertha. All right. Country of Rivers by Grayman. We see Grayman again. And The Overwhelming Dodo Population by Dr. Francis Extinct. Treasures from the Manor. We got Henry Mystic there. The Unknown History of Navis. Oh, this one's interesting. So Jack Francis Murphy, I think he said it was his dad. It was grandfather. So
yeah, he didn't specifically know him because he passed before he was born.
Yeah, so hence the unknown, because his grandfather passed away before he got to know him. And then we have Chinese Alligators by...
And also Diego, I don't know if you said this, Diego was a WDI comms guy, and he was like Paul Rudd because he never ages, so that's why he gave him the Fountain of Youth.
I didn't say that. That's awesome. Ho is for Mo Ho, a skipper from Hong Kong that was selected to go to Tokyo with them. So that's who Ho is referring to.
So there's a book that says McCann, and that is his chiropractor.
Oh, yeah, we saw that one, but it didn't say that note. I have one for Hicks. So if we saw the author's name Hicks was probably Nancy Hicks, one of the names he pulled from WDI. Oh, and B. Fay. If you see somebody named B. Fay, that's one of Kevin Lively's daughters. He said she only ate shredded chicken and rice when we'd go out for Mexican food. She has a limited taste palate.
Gotcha. And the two people, it's actually the series where they're keep on going up meters high. Is two different people who are competing with each other, but they just didn't put their names on them. So it's supposed to be like they're one-upping each other. SFE is Sarah Farmer Earl, and she was our writing department manager. And Rockefeller is the story of a pet hippo that Albert Falls had.
Kevin's daughter B wants to make sure we know that she's moved onto shredded beef.
Oh, that's good. Carnitas says she moved to carnitas.
Kevin, we were also curious about, we saw that Grayman was a creative director, but we didn't know of what. So I don't know if you could fill in that blank for us. We're just saying someone who's very creative in general. Yeah.
Oh, Magnum. I have Kathy Magnum, which.
That's right.
Okay, hang on. I'm getting there.
Kevin says Alex Grayman was the creative director of the Skipper Canteen. What?
I got nothing else.
And I'm done.
What else you got? Lay it on us.
If there's anything else, Kevin, you would love to add to this,
please don't. Please don't, Kevin. No, I'm just kidding.
No. This has been wonderful. There's going to be a few more that we don't have yet, and I'll probably ask Kevin later because I'm a completionist freak who needs to have everything. Did we get Jack Murphy? We did. We did get Jack Murphy. It was your grandfather, right? Who he never met. So, some really special little things in there that were personal to you. It's really wonderful to hear about. In case a little context, it reminds me of the that dog statue in the Haunted Mansion, who was actually somebody's real life pet who they lost. So I love that the Imagineers have put little pieces of themselves in all the attractions that they've worked on, even if it's not something that's overtly known to the guests. So, yeah, Kirk is done with this episode.
I'm done with this whole series. I'm done with the whole thing. I'm done. Let's move on. I'm excited to fight and duke it out on our next one.
Yes, me too. Should we tell them what it's going to be, or are we going to keep it a secret? What are we doing?
Because I know this is important, let's just take a moment. Is there anything else you would like to add this evening?
No, I don't think so. I think I've said all of the things. I feel like at some point down the road, we will need to do an episode on the Tropical Hideaway, but I'm okay with leaving it for now and moving on, because 21 episodes of one of my favorite rides in existence is good enough for now.
Every time I ride the Jungle Cruise, it's like you're reliving this series. Honestly, and there always are still more details to add in. I don't know. It's cool looking at the attraction from a different lens, because I came in having some base rudimentary knowledge, some fun facts here and there, but not the depth of history, inspiration, and catalog detailing, which we did in this series. So I don't know. It's the deepest dive that anyone has ever done. Out literally over a day. Like, it's a day and a half. You would have to listen straight for 30 hours.
This has been, I think this is why I really love doing this Distory series, this podcast. I really love making this because we get to look back at all the things these Imagineers have done, the things they've created, the thought they put into it, and we get to really just shine a spotlight on it and say, as well as we're able to tell, this was their original intent behind the design. This is what this means. This is what you're looking at. These are some mistakes they made along the way and things that they learned for later in their career. I think it's really an unfolding of the lives of these Imagineers as they worked at Disney. and to we really do pick up a lot of not only like fun facts and knowledge and things to look for in the parks that just bring a lot of joy, but we also get to watch these human beings at work and what they did in their creative process. And to me, that's worth doing this episode these series and these podcast episodes every single time, because I think we learn so much from just looking at this from the lens of what they went through and what they did to create these amazing attractions we love. So, yeah, I've just been thinking about this a lot recently, about all the things that I'm doing in general as a creator and like why I do what I do. I think it's really important that we understand the intention behind why we create and why we do the things we do. And this for me is so special because we really get to remember a lot of the people that we also lost. You know, there's a lot of these Imagineers that are not with us anymore, and their work lives on, not only in things that we just get to enjoy and have fun with in the parks, but also their life experiences.
Yeah, it's a great retelling.
Yeah. So are we going to tell them what is coming next?
Yeah, go ahead.
Our plan was, at least for this next episode, we really loved debating about Michael Eisner.
Still debate about it all the time. I sent Kate a picture of Michael Eisner today.
Yeah. But because we really had a lot of fun with that episode, we're like, we should do another debate episode because we like to fight, apparently. So we're not fighting about food at Hollywood Studios. We've already kind of done that. So I feel like, we don't need to.
And you've actually eaten some really good food at Hollywood Studios. So I feel like,
well, I don't know if I'd say really great. It's acceptable.
No, it's so false. You were with me and you were like, oh, this is actually really good. And I have a video of it somewhere. So don't try to get off. Okay. Stop. Pump the brakes. I've got the receipts, sis.
You took a video of that?
Of course. Like, when does that ever happen?
Okay. All right. Anyway, so what we're going to do in this next episode, because we enjoyed that debate one so much, and so did you guys, we're going to debate, it's the great Barker Bird debate of 2023.
Birds of a feather don't flock together.
It's our tagline.
I don't know. Sure.
So, yeah, we're going to debate, what is it, like best Barker Bird?
Best Barker Bird battle.
Throwdown. So that's coming next. Beyond that, we'll be doing some shorter things for a little while before we jump into another series for Kirk's sanity, and then
yeah, I need a couple of easy ones, like just like simple 1-2 episoders. No big. I won't pick attractions. So
the attractions you really have to, because it's like concept, and then it's like ride tour, and stuff beyond that. Really almost every attraction is going to take a couple episodes.
Yeah, 3 or 4
full stop.
at least. Yep.
So we'll do maybe a couple of simpler, easy ones that are themed to specific things, and then we'll dive back into some attractions at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But next week it will be what Barker Bird is best or was best. That's what I say.
Is best. They live on in our hearts. It's fine. With that, thank you everybody for joining us for this episode of Distory, in our last episode of our Jello Cruise series, but not the last episode of Distory. We will be back next week for the great battle of the Barker Birds, a little debate for you guys. But thank you for hanging out with us through all of that wonderful literary pun adventure. And also a really great big thank you to Skipper Kevin Lively for joining us kind of virtually in this adventure through the books of the Skipper Canteen. We really appreciate you, Kevin. And as for that, any final thoughts, Kirk?
Thank you for listening, enjoying. Man, that was fun. And it just makes me really want to step on board and be a skipper for a day.
Yeah.
That's like life goals.
Yeah. Someday it's going to happen. All right, everybody. This is Skipper Kate signing off.
Skipper Kirk. Kungaloosh.
We will see you next time on Distory.